Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Adventures with Rhonda. And today we're going to be talking about dealing with the hurt. People hurt us, people say terrible things, people say hurtful things, and it's how we respond to their comments, how we respond to their attitude. To know who you are on the inside, to build that defense where words have an impact, but they don't hurt. They bounce off of us. People have their opinions, people have their thoughts, and people say things sometimes just to be cruel. Some people say things just to be rude, and a lot of times hurting people hurt other people. And so when we hear negative things being said towards us, negative things that are not who God says we are, let's not answer to names that God did not call us. Let's not respond to people's hatred because you're fueling that fire. You can talk to someone blue in the face, and if they believe the sky is purple, they're going to argue till the sun comes up and till the sun comes down. But the thing about it is, are you going to let their attitudes determine your altitude and your sense of being, your sense of worth, just because they are blatantly doing things that are trying to be hurtful with their words or their actions? Don't let people's negativity destroy your positive atmosphere because they want you to feel upset. They want to get you in a place where it affects your joy. They want to get you in a place where it affects your peace and your ability to sleep and have rest. Don't let people's terrible actions and behaviors and ways affect your peace level because the world is so filled with darkness and so filled with good. And so if we let all the horrible things people say or do diminish our aspect of the good, then it's just going to bring us down. Yes, it's not to say that bad things are not happening. It's not to say that good things are not happening. But there's just saying that I recognize there's good in this world and there's evil in this world. And that I'm not going to give place to let the devil try to destroy the good things that God has created. Just because somebody doesn't like your name, doesn't like your voice, doesn't like your hair, doesn't like anything about you, doesn't take anything away from you. That just means they have their own issues they're dealing with. You are one of a kind. You're unique and you were made in the image of God. And so when people are trying to destroy your faith, when people are trying to destroy your just your family and your values and your system of doing things, or sometimes people are hurting and they're crying out for help. Because if you are having so much joy and so much peace and they lack it, it's hard for them to sleep at night knowing that you are doing very well, that you are resting, that you have peace. And it's sad when people are hurting. You don't want anyone hurting. You don't want anyone sad. You don't want anybody to feel mistreated or unloved. And there are people who feel unloved. There are people who are hurting. And the only way they can just feel some sense of comfort if they lash out at somebody, if they make somebody else lose their smile. It's a hurtful place to be in when you're feeling so down, where the only thing you want is just to say, oh, look, they're doing as bad as I'm doing. There's a problem. Your peace has been taken, your joy has been stolen. Don't let somebody have that power to control your level of happiness, your level of anger, your level of fear, because if they have that power and control, they are controlling you like a thermostat for the air conditioner. You don't want to be temperamental based on everything that's going on around you versus your atmosphere is changing where you go. Not people having to change, not things having to change, but your attitude about the situation is changing. Now, let's just say that you walk into a room and you think everybody in there despises you. Now, does that affect who you are as a person or does that affect who they are as a person? Are you going to get upset? Are you going to go and cry and run into a corner and weep over the fact that they are not your best friend? Are you going to accept the fact there are people who are going to like you and people who are going to dislike you no matter what you do? The only thing you can do is to be the best you can be and be kind and respectful because some people are going through a season in their life where everything is terrible, everything someone says, everything somebody does It makes them uncomfortable, makes them upset and angry. And there could be things that you have not done to anyone and they feel this type of way. You know that saying, misery loves company? People tend to want to find out the other miserable people. They want to stay in that same rut versus saying, no, not today. I'm not going to be a part of that. I may be upset for a little bit. I may not be the most happiest right now, but I'm not going to let that affect how I treat people. I'm not going to let that affect how I interact with people because I don't want my sadness, my hurt, my pain to cause somebody else to feel the same reciprocated pain that I feel. Yes, it's good to have empathy for another person, but empathy and sympathy are two different things. And we want to make sure that we are able to grieve with people and be able to mourn with people and to be able to feel their pain, but we don't want to get caught up where that's all we're doing and we go into a depression because it's raining on today or the sun isn't shining today. We want to make sure that we are able to be in a place where we are comforting, but we are also correcting that behavior, that we know that this is tough right now, but you can keep going. You can keep moving. It may hurt now, but you can keep moving. You can keep walking because our distress doesn't mean to stop and be depressed. Our distress means there's something that's happening, some storm that has developed. But guess what? This too shall pass. Don't let your bitterness make you bitter about life in general and other people. When you're hurting, you don't know how to be healed. You don't know how to get out of that situation. And that's the hard part about it. It's because when you're in that place where you feel like it's your darkest moment, where you feel like you don't want to wake up the next day, you don't want to get out of bed, you don't want to do anything but cry, scream, and mourn. That's a place of darkness. It's a place where you don't want to be in. If you knew how to be healed, you wouldn't still be there. If you knew how to heal yourself, you still would not be under the covers. That feeling of wanting to be healed and not knowing how is a hurtful place. You know that you feel this way and you shouldn't, and you are trying to climb your way out of this darkness, and it's so deep, it's so horrible, and you feel like you are alone. But guess what? This too shall pass. Take a deep breath, breathe, relax. Know that the sun is still shining. It may be a little rainy and cloudy today, but the sun still shines. It may be hard in this moment, but the sun still shines. There may be darkness, but joy comes in the morning. And troubles, they don't last always. So when you feel like you can't get out of that dark place, take a deep breath. Breathe. Because sometimes we get caught up in those moments and we have not even stopped to breathe the air. Our body just naturally does it as instinct, but we haven't taken the time to understand why we have to do that. It's so relaxing and just so confirming that, life is precious and it's a gift. And so when we take the time and go, I can do this. I can do this. You're reassuring yourself that you can get through it. You're reassuring yourself that this is just a moment in time. This is just a teachable moment that you're going to think back over 20 minutes from now, 2 days from now, 12 years from now. I remember that place. I don't want to go back to that place. It was hard, but I got through it. I took a deep breath and let all of that knowledge rushing through our minds just return back, because the devil can have us so far gone, like we can't breathe, we can't think, we can't focus. Take back that air and breathe it. Breathe that air. Know that what you're doing is allowing your body to take in all that extra oxygen, to think about what's going on, to cause you to realize there's blood in your veins running warm and that you can get through this moment in time. Yeah, it's hard to think about it right now and say, oh man, I don't know what to do. But you haven't taken a deep breath to think about how you can get through it, how you can move forward. Your emotions are driving you up the wall and you're just rushing, 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 rushing. And then someone tells you, stop. When someone says, breathe, it feels like a whole different thought, something you thought you already were doing. But in that moment, you do, and you breathe, and you realize that you can get through this. You're going to be all right. You're hurting. It's time to be healed.